Okay, Dana.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, my mom and I both are here.
Perfect. So I'm one of the managers here on the team, and I was speaking with the consultant that was working with the teacher at the school, and she forwarded me along some of your correspondence. So I think I have a good idea of some of your questions there, but I just wanted to see if there have been any other ones since you last corresponded with the teacher.
Not really. And is it okay? Do you mind if we record the CAV record for us?
Oh, record the conversation?
Yes.
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. It's by law for Florida that we ask if we can record to make sure both parties are aware.
Oh, that seems like fair legislation.
Yeah. Our main concern, because we're not getting any information from our group leader, is that
we're not getting clear information. She's
okay.
communicated, but what she's communicated with us is just not making sense to us.
Okay.
So now we need to understand, I guess, first of all, how was this trip postponed? How was that decision made?
Right. So for our June trips, we have basically said to the teachers, do you think that you would be comfortable traveling at this time? Do you think your families would be comfortable traveling at this time? And should we proceed ahead at this point? In the conversation that the consultant had with Emmy, she decided that at this time families aren't comfortable with traveling. And for us as an organization, we have not proactively canceled those trips. That being said, as we approach June, we follow the State Department's guidelines of levels 3 and 4. If they say that any country that a group is traveling to goes up to that level, we will not send groups there. Currently, all of Europe is under a level 3 advisory, so if that continued, we would then postpone the trip as well.
Okay, and what does that mean for us? When you postpone the trip, what does that mean for us, the consumers that have purchased these trips?
Right. So that means that you can either take a voucher for full monies paid, or there is a refund option available, which actually has been updated for our summer groups since it seems like you last spoke with the teacher. So when we were doing this initially for March and April groups, although we've been around for over 50 years as a company, I'm sure it's not a surprise that this has taken us aback in a way that other world events haven't been. So at that time, we were looking at our March and April groups to figure out policies around this. So at that point, we said, for all of our groups traveling, we can provide refunds less $1,000. Now, as we've seen the situation evolve and have been working with some of our contracts with airlines, hotels, etc., for our summer groups, we are now saying that we will be able to give a refund to individuals less $500 as opposed to that $1,000.
Okay, and see, I'm still not understanding the $500. When we bought the trip protection, which stated that it covered any of situations or circumstances such as this, and then at the most we would lose was $95. So now, how did the $500 come into play? How did you come up with that number? Right.
So that number is a blanket number that we have applied for all of our summer groups, looking at the costs associated with staff and starting to plan these trips with airlines, hotels. So it's not looking at the individual trip and saying, okay, for Miss Annie's trip at this high school, here are the costs associated. Because we have so many thousands of groups traveling, we had to come up with a blanket number.
Okay.
Now the insurance, you are still eligible to file a claim through. So we use a third-party insurance company. Now, most of the families that I've spoken with have not been successful in filing their claims where the third-party insurer, a company called Seven Corners, has been refunding. However, that is still an option available to your family to pursue.
Okay, and are you saying that's the option for us to pursue, but it's not been successful? Is that what you're saying?
It hasn't been successful for other families, but what I do know from the insurance company, and I think a lot of travel insurance companies in particular right now, this was not something that was covered because we haven't seen anything of this scope before.
Right.
So they had policies where, if someone had traveled and had come back and had contracted the coronavirus and had been quarantined, there are policies for that, but not prior to.
Okay. So, and again, I'm needing to understand then why did we pay for a protection plan that's now not protecting us during this pandemic? And for you to just your company, and I'm not talking to you particularly, specifically, but I'm just saying overall for EF Tours, then they should honor what their protection plan had in place, which it's never stipulated anywhere in there, 500, 1,000, none of that. All it stipulated was a $95 loss. Okay, so now that we're having this epidemic, and it looks like possibly, maybe, and I don't know, just trying to figure out why they're trying to keep a great portion of our monies when they're not entitled to it. And I'm thinking maybe, I mean, are they afraid that they're now maybe having to file bankruptcy? And then, so now you're going to have with all these hundreds of people that have paid in thousands and thousands of dollars for this trip. So you can then take so much from it, and then you to pay for whatever it is that your accommodations that you've done, but which that's not our fault. That's not. We shouldn't be responsible for that, and we should not be held to be liable for something that this company EF Tours has to do now. Yeah. Not with our monies.
Yeah. No, I understand the frustration there, and I can tell you, at least from the filing bankruptcy stance, that's not somewhere that we're close to as an organization. We have many different divisions that work in different areas of education, so we are okay in that way. So this is not something that we're trying to profit off of. I did want to go back to what you were saying about the $95 though, because within our booking conditions, and I can send you the link to this afterwards as well, but what would typically happen at this point? We have cancellation brackets depending on how far away from tour you are. And canceling at this point and not taking the postponed tour or the refund is considered a cancellation. At this point, your family would be eligible for a refund of only 50% of the program price, which is much more than the $500, and the $165 deposit for the insurance and the $95 enrollment deposit. So we have said those booking conditions at this point are not fair for families, so we will find a lesser cost and draw that across the line so that families are entitled to more of a refund. But that's what our booking conditions say.
Okay, so the booking conditions don't clearly state that. When you said you have somewhere where this is stated, what you've just said to us, that we can read it.
Yes, and I can send that over to you.
Okay, because this will be, I'd like to see that, because none of this was shared with us.
Okay.
In the event that this trip would be postponed or canceled for any reason, it was to our understanding we would lose $95, the booking fee, or something like that. And that was it.
Okay. Right. And in the conditions that I'll send over to you, they do not say specifically in the event that the trip is postponed, but they are talking about in terms of cancellation. And for us, the postponed option is not just that, you have to enroll on the trip for next year. It's that you can take the voucher for all money paid that is available now through the end of September of 2022 to use that as you see fit, or to sell within your school community. And you could do that for the full amount paid as well, because it does seem like there are people still enrolling for the future years.
Well, okay, so that last part you said about, repeat that again.
Yeah, so the other option, instead of pursuing the cancellation option, less $500, is anyone who is enrolled in this trip gets a voucher for every single dollar paid in on the trip. Now, that doesn't just have to be used through school trips. We have other divisions of adult tours or tours for graduating seniors or people ages, 18 to 29 for a more young adult feel. So they can be used in that way. And the other option that we're offering is that voucher can then be transferred within a family if there's a different family member who would like to go, or it can be sold through a private transaction. So say you said, we don't want to lose that $500. We want to keep the voucher and see if there's anyone in the school community who would want to purchase this voucher for the full value. You're able to do that. And the other option is to hold on to that voucher and say, okay, we might use this as a family between now and 2022. But if not, say it's next summer and you're saying, I don't think that's feasible, you can then come back to us at this point and redeem that voucher for the same policy where you would get all money less the $500. This doesn't have to be done right now.
See, still, so either way you do it, you're going to be less $500 if you don't sell it to someone for the full value.
Right. Or use it yourself for the full money paid.
No, I don't like that policy. I don't like that. I don't like the way that sounds. I feel like we were giving you honest money when we were paying into this tour. And then now that the tour is no longer, then we should get our monies back the same way we gave it to you. We shouldn't have to be less anything that was not stipulated within your policy. And so that's why this is going to be one of those situations where, it's going to be some legal action, because it's just it's just not fair. It's not fair on a lot of levels. And so now the school decides, okay, we're not going to cancel, we're not postponing, we're still shooting for this coming June. Okay, then the time comes, and with this whole pandemic, and it's not we're not in a position to do so, and then you have to cancel. Then those same policy stipulations that you just read to us, that still would be what we would have to be would have to adhere to. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is true.
So even though we are not able to travel to Europe because of the travel restriction ban, you guys will not cancel and still take the money.
No, they would cancel.
No, they don't cancel. They postpone.
And that is the stipulation with the language behind it. That $500, we are not, as an organization, held to the same standards that individuals are, right? So, say your family had planned this trip on your own, and you were calling the hotel, the airline, all of that back, and they were refunding you. Because we book on such a large level, we are not eligible for the same sorts of returns on that. So that's why it's not like a one-to-one, and I can give you, here is where the hotel was. We had to make decisions across the board.
So looking at our account, I don't know if you can see, was hotel and flight reservations already made for our June trip?
Yeah, so the way that we do it, it isn't booked under, Miss Emmy's account or your family going into this room. We have relationships with hotels all across Europe, Latin America, that we have blocked space with and say, we will have this many hundreds of travelers coming through during this month. So yes, your group was reserved into that space, but it's not something I can provide you with or anyone can provide you with here is the hotel that you were supposed to be in on these days and the costs associated with that.
But don't you all do like net 30, net 60, so therefore you're not paying those invoices until after travel anyway?
So not necessarily, because we are planning this so far in advance, and these relationships have been for years. We have payment plans set up with a lot of these hotels and especially airlines as well.
That should have been factored in. Okay, so you guys, I'm sure you're going to relook at your policies after this situation, because the monies that you're saying now that you need to withhold, that 500 first went from 1,000 now to 500. That should have been factored in to the monies that we've been paying, like a silent something that you were taking. Because if I feel like just my thinking, the amount of money that each of us are paying, that there has to be something built in for you in situations such as this that would take care of this situation that you were referring to as far as the bookings and things of that nature. So I'm still not understanding, even with the $500, I'm just not understanding why we're then having to be penalized to, go less of $500 if we, and this voucher thing, I don't want a voucher.
Okay.
I don't want a voucher. I'm at the point now, I don't even want to go back over to Europe again. I don't even want to go. So I don't want to be in a position to where I have to be forced now to find somebody to sell it to. That's not what I do. That's not what I care to do. I'm just not wanting to do that. So now what? So my money on this voucher just sits on the dresser over here and what goes to waste. Then just kind of melts into the furniture here, because I'm not going to do any of those things that you're saying that we could do, or find somebody in the family to give it to. No, that's over $4,000 per person. You know, and then during this pandemic, during times like this, we need our money just like everybody else needs their money. You know,
Right.
so we're not rich. You know, so this was something we've been saving for and making payments on for over a year now. And so now in the situations like this, when we can't get out and we can't work, we have children to feed, we have families to take care of, we need our money to be able to do that.
Right.
And I'm sure you've been listening to the news, and you hear about the people, you know, trying to get unemployment is almost impossible, waiting for months and months just to even try to get your paperwork through the system. But then we have money tied up over here that is ours, but we can't get to it because of a policy that seems like it's changing daily, depending on who we talk to. It's just not fair.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, like, you're absolutely right. It has been changing almost daily because we've been trying to evaluate the cost being withheld in real time with it. So, you know, I will send you over what the policy states as it stands, right? Because at that point you would have been losing over $2,000 per family member enrolled. And so we've been trying to look at that and lower those costs associated, and I'm happy to send that to you. But this is the policy at this point. You know, you're welcome to still file a claim through insurance. Again, it hasn't been successful, but I think also the insurance company is evaluating their claims. And I can send you over the legal counsel's information as well, information to pass to your legal counsel to contact our team if that is a route that you decide to pursue.
Okay, yeah, send us everything that you have.
Okay.
Because, yes, I'm sure we'll be needing it at some point.
Now, I have one additional question as well, which I believe I had in the email to the group leader. Is it true that the group leaders are receiving 100% of their refunds back?
No, so the group leaders, we plan these trips on a 6-to-1 ratio. So the group leaders' cost of the trip is, they were not paying for the cost of the trip. Basically because they were working as a chaperone for it.
Okay, but so I'm chaperoning. I'm the parent. My granddaughter is one who is so-called won the right to go on this trip. Now I'm doubting all that as well. I feel like she's been recruited so that this sponsor could get more money or get a free trip. Okay, because that's what it sounds like to me. They didn't tell us that when we went to this meeting prior to this trip being made. It was all like, oh, because of these kids being honor students. And yes, she is an honor student. That's you know, without doubt, she is. But it doesn't seem like that was the whole thing driving this trip being put together. It seems more like now, let's just gather more people here. The more people we get, then I'll get a free trip, and you know, they come along. And so she's losing nothing. Basically, she's paid nothing, she's losing nothing.
Right, but I'm sure, and I guess you haven't gone on the trip, so you haven't seen, but the reason that we have that policy is also because the teachers themselves put in a lot of work in the planning, coordinating with families, and while on the trip are...
She didn't do that.
I guess she sends a lot of email. That takes a lot of effort, I'm sure. She made some phone calls, right. Yep, I'm sure that's a lot. It's very time consuming, okay? But that does, we're responding, and we're doing just as much as she is. But because she was a person that was elected to be over this, so now she has different, her rules and stipulations and policies are different than ours.
Right, and that's true of pretty much any student travel company, any teacher that we're working with. This isn't just something that teacher has. To be honest, if we didn't do things like that, then teachers likely wouldn't be giving up their time over spring breaks and summer breaks to be taking their students on an educational experience like that.
I understand what you're saying. I do. And like I said, this is not personal. I understand what you're saying, exactly what you're saying.
Right.
But again, I say, if all of this was going to end up the way that it is right now, to the point where we were going to be on the short end of the stick, because it really didn't matter to me if, you know, for her hard work and whatever she's doing, that she's being rewarded by getting a free trip. I just don't want to be I don't want to be in a position where I'm losing out because I wasn't the teacher who was put in charge of this, and then I was not made aware of all of these new little, I guess, hidden policy, I don't know, demands that you're about to send to us. That should have been that should have been stated when we started these meetings, when we first were told to meet so we can discuss this trip. That should have been stated. This information that you're saying to me now, that should have been talked about, and that should have been given to us in writing. Let us then decide, so if this doesn't happen, then I'll be okay. I'm okay with giving them $1,000 or $500. Because no, I bet you wouldn't have had as many people participating. I think it would have changed the mindset of a lot of people, because people don't want to just take a risk of just throwing away money, just for the hell of it.
Yeah. So the other piece of this is the booking conditions that I'll send over are signed by every traveler when they enroll in the trip. And so in there is the cancellation policy that I listed, but also something that we call the peace of mind policy. And I won't bore you with the details of the name and things like that, but basically we have something built in where in the past, again, we haven't seen something to the same scope as the coronavirus, but when different areas of the world have had unrest and the State Department has increased this morning, we have postponed trips, right? And that is all written in there as well. We will postpone the trip. At that point, we do not traditionally offer any sort of amended cancellation policy as we are in this place. So I think you'll see as you're looking through the policies that those policies outlined, this is much more favorable for families, and we are doing it for a reason. And I know it's not ideal for your family, but it has shifted.
Yeah, and it's not a guarantee that somebody, with this situation here, this is a pandemic. This can be avoided. I mean, nobody has control of this. Only God knows how the outcome of this will be. Tomorrow's not promised. Next year is definitely not promised. We don't even know, will we be here next year in whatever June, or will we make it through this year at the rate we're going? But I know that at this time, at this present date and time, the monies that are tied up in your company, we could be utilizing them to take care of, just our everyday living. And that's what I want. That's what I'm interested in right there. Nothing more. Just want to get back the money that we gave to this company for this trip that we're no longer now going to be going on, and now have lost all interest in even participating. The voucher is just not something I'm interested in at all.
Okay. I can process the cancellation then on our end for the full refund, less $1,000 for the 2 travelers associated with the family.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
My name's Dana.
Dana?
Yes.
Dana, we're not interested in you processing a cancellation less $1,000 for the 2. We're interested in, if you're going to cancel it, then you can less the down payment fee. Whatever like that. I think it was a $95 something. Then you said it was $165 something to fee. That doesn't equal 500. So this number that you guys are pulling out, like you say, you started with 1,000. Now we're down to 500 because I'm thinking because it had to do with a lot of things. Probably because you got a lot of angry parents right now about this situation, just as we are. And so now you're, I guess, trying to make it less, I guess, abrasive. But yeah, that's just not something we're interested in. So you can process us credit, you're saying, a credit, or for $1,000 for the two people. Was that a credit, or was that a cash value equal to what we paid?
Right. So let me bring up the accounts right now. So it is a check for the total amount paid for each account, less $1,000 or less $500 for each account.
Okay, but we didn't pay by check. So why is it that some families are receiving their refunds electronically and then others are having to wait 6 to 8 weeks for a check?
So the things that they're receiving electronically are the vouchers.
No, it's not a voucher. They're actually refunds that they're receiving back to their bank accounts for the money that they paid.
I can check into that for your family. I can check into that. I have not been aware of that, and that's not something I've been able to do on my end, but I can check with other members of my team and see if that's an option available for your family.
Yeah, I'm aware of hundreds of parents that have received theirs back electronically.
Yeah, I'm happy to look into that.
Yes, if you can look into that and then send us that information over, and then when you find out, I guess, give us a call back or email and let us know.
I will get you by end of the day, and I'll have an answer for you by the end of the day, so I'll just send it all together, and then if there's anything further that comes up, you can feel free to let us know. And the other thing, too, I mean, if we do amend this policy further, your family will be eligible for it. It's not something I'm foreseeing, but again, things have changed. So
okay, and
we will keep you posted with that.
I've had a friend that canceled, but hers was the $1,000 deduction, so she can call back now that it's been amended and receive the other $5 back.
She doesn't even have to call. We're just automatically issuing that for families, right? Because we don't want to have to make everyone call again. It's something that we've amended on our end, so we'll be sending that additional update.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for the email from you with all that information that we requested that you were going to send to us, and then for you to get back to us on the electronic deposit.
Yep, and to make sure I have everything correct, I will send you over the booking conditions, and I will note in there where the cancellation policy, as well as the peace of mind world event policy is. I will send you over what we can do about an electronic refund, and then I'll send you over the legal information as well.
Okay, and then we have the global protection policy, but you mentioned 7 Corners. Is that the same thing?
Yes, the global travel protection is what we call it, but it's a policy through 7 Corners, so I can also send you information too of getting in touch with them if you'd like that.
Okay, and has that been unsuccessful? This should be the last question. Has that been unsuccessful for the parents because 7 Corners is owned by EF Tours?
No, they are not owned by us. They're a third party organization, and work with many other travel providers as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
but
we'll
I can send
wait
you
for
over that
response
information, and you can look into them as you see fit.
Okay. Thank you. We'll wait for your response or your email.
All right. Thank you, ladies. I'm sorry I don't have better news, but I appreciate your time today.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.